things have been pretty busy for me. There are way more jobs than I can manage outside the house, let alone inside. And I'm trying hard not to let the entire property get overrun in what is, after all, the growing season. I won't lie, at the moment it kind of feels like I'm never going to get on top of it. I decided on a hard prune. Yep. I took all the old wood out. Let's see what comes back. Gotta be brave. Either that or it'll be a horrible mistake. And look where it's positioned, right next to this magnolia tree. Won't be that big a loss anyway, so it's a good experiment. Next up, I'm just going to trim a little bit of the straggler bits there, and maybe if I have time there. This shouldn't be as bad as the other one. I mean, I really hacked the other one. These are already quite nicely shaped, but I just want to keep it like bushy rather than those strayed pieces coming up, and hopefully so that it grows and fills out nicely rather than all the pointy bits. This is the best thing ever. You want to prune, seriously prune, this is what you need to get, for the big stuff anyway. I'm about to add a lot more to this bay, and it used to look like this. And honestly, if I have to count the number of trees that I've pruned on the property, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And oh look, it's like not even a dent on the extent of pruning needed here. We need some serious How's it going?
Security, mate. Security. Just call me. I thought I'd just at least put one camera in, soon we're heading out.
Does that mean you'll be able to see it remotely?
Yes.
Of course. Here's a sneaky, creepy one.
Sneaky, creepy.
Sneaky, creepy. Yeah, that's good. I think that's important. The wounds of city living don't heal that quickly.
They don't heal that quickly.
Not to mention the wounds of Port Douglas.
That was a big wound.
Hey, so we sold, I think that was known, but what wasn't known is that we had a little visitor at midnight. Well, I didn't, you did.
I had a visitor.
Yeah.
An unwanted visitor.
Little visitor tried to come into our little place at midnight as Rob lay sleeping. Well, just as well he's a light sleeper. Even with all his Batman gear on.
I didn't have any of that on.
Oh, well, just as, imagine if you did.
Yeah, it would have been in the house. is wrong with you?
For as long as I've been baking bread, I have wanted one of these babies. This is the mock mill. Basically, it's a German-made stone mill. So you can grind basically any grain to make flour. You can also grind all sorts of hard foods like legumes, spices, rice, oats and lentils. So why am I going to these lengths? Well, store-bought flour has been ground months and months in advance, and they sit in bags, warehouses and shipping containers. And in order for them to do that, all the good stuff that's in the grain has to be removed. So I want to grind my own flour when I'm about to bake so that not only does it taste better, but it will be better for you. I also get to choose my grains, and I've ordered a couple of bags and they landed literally today, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to bake the next lot of bread using freshly ground flour. That just blows me away. How cool is that? Oh wow. Oh, thank God everything's under cover. Holly, the 2 cars.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have an umbrella here?
No.
Okay.
Something's not happening right with these gutters.
Why? Oh, they're all coming over.
It's all coming over.
Maybe it's just too much water, babe, or
It's downpipe.
it's...
Check that. Not doing it anywhere else.
Oh, okay.
We've got blockages.
Do we?
Look at that.
Wonder where that runs to.
That's a very good point. Look at it. Well, there wouldn't be. There's no stormwater. There's no stormwater pipe that goes to the road. Right. The everlasting list to do.
With the excitement of the storm over and done with, I pulled out a frozen cup of homemade bone broth. I've started making my own bone broth to have as a regular drink. I buy the bones from the local butcher. The beef is local pasture raised on the mountain. The broth is both delicious and nutritious, but what I'm really wanting is the collagen. I bake the bones for about an hour. It just makes the broth taste really, really good. Whilst the broth heated up on the stove top, I got busy unpacking the brand new dishwasher. After Port Douglas renovations, we have put any potential renos on this house on ice, so we decided to replace the kitchen appliances, which were all the originals. The slow cooker really does make the job easy. I slow cook my broth between 12 to 15 hours, and the batches so far have been delicious and really jelly-like in texture once it's refrigerated. And that's exactly what I'm looking for in a collagen-rich bone broth. We have agreed that this little area here, and it's a second building, it's one of the outbuildings on the property. We think it was actually the original shed that was built with the house, because the really big shed was built by the owners that we just bought the home from, and they had been here pretty much for the large chunk of this house from the time it was new. They were here for 22 years, and I think the house is 27 years old. So this little building was existing, and it has this lovely little space here. It's kind of like a little storage area, and we've decided it's going to be my little gardening space. So I've set up all my little tools, and I don't have a lot. You know, potting trays and what little things that a little dibber that I made when I was at my brother's house, and so it's good to go. I love it. Something that I have been really looking forward to was setting up my worm farm. I've had worms before, and it's just a great way to turn your kitchen scraps into this awesome natural fertilizer for your garden, especially if you're growing veggies. I use a hungry bin. It's a worm farm that was designed and made in New Zealand, and I really like the ease in which you can harvest the worm castings. It's also a pretty big worm farm, which means once it's at full strength, there can be up to 10,000 worms in the farm, and that pretty much will take most of your kitchen scraps, or the kitchen scraps of a family of 4. So for the 2 of us, that will be more than plenty. Now, I like to set up my worm farms using coir block from Bunnings. It needs a small amount of garden soil to add all the biology to the bedding and inoculate it with life, basically. The hungry bin, being a large worm farm, needs about 80 litres of bedding, so this large coir brick should do the trick. I'm adding water and breaking it down because I want to help it along and speed up the process of hydrating all the coir. You could pour the water in and walk away and just let the brick slowly expand, but that'll take a lot longer. So here I am just hacking it away, and I'm doing all this by eye. There are recommended ratios of water to the coir brick, but I just chucked it into my black cart and just started putting water in, breaking it down, adding water, and just repeating the process until I end up with something that is damp and moist, but not wet. Worms need a moist environment, a moist bedding. So the theory is that you should be able to squeeze their bedding and get a couple of drops come out. As Rob shoveled in the mixed up coir, I would alternate with soil and mix a little bit of that in. You don't need a lot, but just a little bit, again, to inoculate all of the bin. And I had a little bit of recycled paper on top, and that was it. Now I just needed to wait for my wormies to arrive. I buy my worms online from a worm farm supplier in Queensland. The bedding should ideally sit for a good week before the worms are added. That gives the biology time to replicate throughout the bin, and it also gives you time to check the bedding and get the moisture right, which is really important, especially with coir, because it can be a bit tricky getting that balance right when you first hydrate the brick. So it's something you have to really check and be conscious of when you just first start off a farm. I find it kind of regulates itself eventually. Well, you still have to check it, but it's a lot easier once you get some food in and all the bedding isn't so inert and, raw, I guess. It starts to get the moisture and the juices from the food and what have you, and water that you spray, and the castings come into play. And then you really start to get a nice active environment for the worms. The poor little guys are always shell-shocked when they land, and the first week is just a little bit touch and go, and they're going to appear really lethargic. I don't put in a lot of food in that first week and just really let them settle in. The bedding itself, the coir, and any paper or cardboard that you add to the farm is all food and edible by the worms, so they're not going to go hungry. It's probably more important that you're constantly checking on the moisture, which is what I'm doing right here. That coir seemed a little bit dry to me, which is why I'm digging around and rummaging around. It was still absorbing water, so I just poured in a bucket of water. Now, if you can get chlorine-free or not chemically treated water, i.e. town water, if you've got rainwater, I would definitely be using rainwater. I could have done that, I should have done that, I didn't. I just took the water from the tap, and so far they seem to be doing okay. Now, the other thing that I don't do is I've poured in the bedding that they've come in from, but I haven't mixed that around because they're comfortable and they know that bedding. If for whatever reason they are unhappy with the way the bedding is underneath, they've got nowhere to go if you've mixed it all in. So at this point, if there is something critically wrong with the worm farm or the way I've set up the bedding, they can always come to the top and hang out in that layer of bedding that they came with and that they're familiar with. The last thing I'm doing here is cutting up a piece of cardboard to act as a blanket across the top. Compost worms don't like the light, and it makes perfect sense, right, given they live in the top layers of soil. And I'm also conscious of our cold, temperate climate. Worms are a little bit like us, and they prefer temperatures between 10 to 25 degrees, so nothing too cold or too hot. So all I had left to do was to give that paper a good wet down, put their little blankie on, cut it down so it fits nice and snug, and try my hardest not to go and disturb them. That's probably the best advice when they're just new. Oh, I've never seen a dead one. Sorry. You're gone. Let's see how the rest of you are doing. Lots of wormies in there. Let's pitch back. There, and there's a little one there, and there, another one there. a big truck.
I can drive that truck.
Oh, you can too. Oh, so beautiful. You know what I want to do?
I want to go and jump on top of it.
How did you know?
Because
How did you know?
I know. Because I go, so she's going to try and get up there. Hopefully she doesn't sink, fall down, collapse, things happen.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Yes. Here we go. Here we go. It's not going to end well for anyone. Here we go. She's conquered Mount Bark.
It smells so good.
Okay. Let's see you come down now. Let's do the come down.
I can't do it.
Let's get down now. Let's see how this works out. Okie dokie. Alright.
Oh, it's my...
Okay, I think we need to stop now. It's getting too much for everybody.